All right, good day, family. Hope you guys having a wonderful day so far. We're going to be starting here momentarily. We're going to dig into a couple of your comments today. And we're going to go right to the source regarding this ongoing drama stuff that's going on. Look at there. They're already down arrowing the video. Didn't hear a word I said and already mad. That's okay. We keep on, but we're for truth here. We're actually for truth here. And people who are not interested in the truth, this ain't for you. It's as simple as that. And I'm glad that the lines are becoming a lot clearer now. If you haven't checked out already, make sure you head to our website, sambatree.com. We are running a special promo right now. I believe it's 25% off of dried fruit. We have an overstock of dried fruit over at sambatree.com. And it's right here. So 25% off. We get it straight from the farmers and they bag it up immediately and they get it right to you. So yeah, 25% off dried fruit. And this stuff is good, y'all. It's really good. It's, mango, was it mango, pineapple, and I believe coconut or papaya. What are the two? Oh, dates. That was the other one. So make sure you check it. Oh, following my footsteps. Oh, that's you? Oh, I'm blocking you. I'm just playing. Anyway, I'm being funny here. But anyway, so glad to have you guys here, and welcome to this broadcast here, because we're going to hit it. Like I said, again, make sure you check out sambatree.com. Make sure if you're not signed up already for our workshop this coming Sunday, we're going to do a whole intro on, for those of you who aren't familiar, how to use ChatGPT. Make sure you check that out, because I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be really something. And I think is really timely for the time that we're in right now, because if you really are trying to get to the bottom of things and getting to the root of stuff, this is a great tool. If you're trying to build something, if you're trying to do things, let me tell you, man, like I told you, I actually built my own tutor to teach me physics, and so that's what I've been doing, quantum physics, and so I built it, and so I'm getting ready. I just completed my first 2-week session, which was very basic, like very, very basic, like super basic, right? So now, I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to do one that's going to oh, girl, that's all right. You ain't got to keep telling me. You ain't got to keep telling me about the like button. But what I'm saying is I'm used, but there are many times before I even open my mouth, I'll have people already down arrowing my video, and I ain't even say anything. And so it does happen. So you good. You shouldn't expose yourself. Now everybody knows who you are. But no, you good. It's all good. It's all good. So anyway, but yeah, like stuff like that, build this. So we're going to cover quite a bit. It's going to be a good opportunity for you if you're looking to get into that and understand it. I would highly recommend it. Check it out. And we're going to go at a very calm pace. All right. It's going to be easy for anybody to follow. So even though I say it's for people of a certain age, if you're younger than that, come on, and you're not, you need to be up in here. Okay. We're going to all learn together, and we're going to have a wonderful time. Okay. So make sure you check that out. Okay. Go to sambatree.com, go to Samba University, click, sign up, and let's go. I was up pretty late last night putting together the class and the materials and getting my slides together and doing all that stuff. And so I'm just about there. I got a few more things I want to add to it. I'm be ahead of my schedule. So I'm excited. So make sure you're on that. and check it out. Okay, so today we're going to continue this discussion here. I told y'all I'm just kind of slow walking and like, do I want to talk about this or whatever, you know? And again, if we talk about it, issues like this, I never want to engage in it from an emotional standpoint because we got too many people doing that. But the purpose of this broadcast is we're going to look at this thing again from an intelligent, a true intelligent perspective. Okay. But it's also going to be one that's going to challenge you. It's going to challenge you. Some of you are going to be, this is too much for me. Ow. You know, that's going to be, and that's okay. But the video will still be here and you just come on, you know, and come on back when you're ready. But we are 100% about the truth. We're about truth here. Okay. And so that's what we're going to talk about. It's funny. The video that I did yesterday, this short video, well, I call it short. The video I did yesterday where I was telling y'all, listen, be careful out here in these streets because you got people out here creating these rage bait videos, trying to pull you into these, you know, rage intense conversations online. And I was showing you that, hey, this video is fake. And I remember I went through it. Remember that? Well, today I wake up, I get a notification and they said, oh yeah, we demonetized that video. Well, what does that tell you? It was a fake video and they want to make sure they're getting every coin for their little charade that they were doing. So I don't mind. I mean, I didn't do it for money. I did it just for informational purposes only. So yeah, so I could show you the notification. Yeah, they demonetized it because they want to make sure they're getting every coin for their skit. But that just goes to show you again, you have players out here, people, powers that shouldn't be that are out here that are invested in messing you up and getting you all up and whatever. You understand what I'm saying? And it's time that we start calling these people out for who they are. I don't care what color they are or whatever. It doesn't matter. We need to call these people out here. What was the other thing I was getting to show you on? I was going to show you. I'm going to my channel now. I'm going to my, oh, there you go. I was going to my post. Okay, here we go. This is what I was going to show you next. So let's go here and welcome to everybody that's in the chat. So glad that you're here. So glad that you're here, y'all. Listen, we're climbing up on this platform. Okay, we're going up. All right. So don't, if you're someone that's kind of like, oh Lord, I'm this or whatever. No. This ain't the place. Okay, we're climbing up. But as you are climbing up, you know how when I lived out in California, well, even here, you know, we have mountains here, but California was more visible where you have that layer of smog. As you're going up, you begin to see the smog. When you're on the ground level and you're looking up, you really can't tell. But as your altitude increase, you begin to see the smog. And it's like, dang, man, this is messed up. You know what I mean? But you're going to have to see the smog as you're going up. You understand what I'm saying? But you're still going up. So that's what we're going to be looking at, unfortunately, is some of this smog activity. But rest assured, the purpose of this conversation is moving up. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about investing in this broadcast and all of that. And I'll give you a great example of that and how that ties to this conversation. Okay. So, wow. I went back to Little Rascal days. But anyway, so let's take a quick look at a couple of posts that I did. Okay. Because everything I'm saying here is all connected. So again, let's go back to this one I did. I do things in cartoons now because I'm finding that this is probably the most effective way to get points across, because unfortunately we live in a world where unfortunately a lot of people do not want to read. They're like, okay, get to the point. If you can't take it in two, all right, let me put in a cartoon for you. I guess in a few years we'll be doing sock puppets next, but whatever. I don't care. I'm here. And so this one here, what I did was, let me just kind of go over it real quick here. I went back to the 15th century. You got Spanish and Portuguese explorers, and they were like looking down at the slaves that they captured or whatever, because when you look at the history of where the word Negro, where they started using the word Negro, it actually came from Spanish and Portuguese explorers who were going up and down the coast, west coast of Africa, and they see these dark-skinned folks, and they were like, oh, Negroes. So that's how it came up. There's no holy meaning behind it. It just, that's what they say, you black, right? And so I create a little dialogue here, and it says, one guy on the right, he says, so many of them from different tribes, what do we call them? And the other guy is like, let the merchants who paid for this trip figure that out. And so because people that came from Africa during that time, yeah, they took all these people from different tribes, mixed them all together. And instead of categorizing many of us, what they did instead is said, okay, we just going to call y'all black, and created a unique culture. And so I said, so here you go. By classifying them as Negro, we will be creating a whole new culture for them. What you name, you control. And the other guy is like, brilliant. That one word will eliminate any connection to their own cultures. There's a little Easter eggs in here when I say merchants that you have to really look. I try to bury things in these images so that you can wink, wink, get it. And so you could, look at that on your own. That's why I try to do in a lot of these little cartoons I do. And then I said, many centuries later, these are the powers that shouldn't be. And they said, first call it we'll first call it black civil rights to get them to buy in. Because civil rights isn't, anyway, I'm just going, we'll first call it black civil rights to get them to buy in. Next, then they say, we'll then add feminism, gay and lesbian rights to the movement. And then finally, then at the right time, just call it civil rights movement. And so, again, let me explain for people who are just kind of like still trying to get that. So that's what they did. So again, they called us black, and by doing that, they created a unique culture. We never called ourselves that. We never addressed ourselves as that. They did it. And by doing that, they gave us a new identity that erased who we were, wherever we came from or whatever, or who you really are as an individual. And who you really are goes beyond the culture that you was born into. Okay, let me say that again. Who you really are, it goes beyond the color of your skin and the culture that you was born into. That is not to say that your culture isn't important, but what I am saying is who you really are is even greater than that. Okay, and so, but these people, what they did was they trained our minds to only identify with the color of our skin, and that's it. That's what they did. And by doing that, we, in our brains, we created a culture around that. Are you following me? We created a culture around our skin and some of the things that we could do. But basically, it was a skin-based culture, but it was reinforced by the system that we were in. When, with Jim Crow and all that stuff, they say, colored people over there, white people over there, whatever. They kept reinforcing this over and over to remind you to always identify with the color of your skin. That's it. And that's how we chose to see ourselves. All right, let's move on. And so the next slide here, this is some examples. So in the movie industry, and they got one guy here that says, we'll put them in our movies and we'll call it black culture. They'll demand for more representation, our representation. And that's exactly what happened. And then in the other one, you got, I call it black music. And so by doing that, what did they do? They were able to formulate all the imagery and the lyrics and everything and call it black music. When you see these rappers out here doing all this kind of crazy stuff or whatever, and things that does not represent your own household, but unfortunately, a lot of folks have bought into it and says, okay, well, that's black culture. They walk around like that. I got to walk around like that. They talk this way. I got to talk that way. So we are literally looking at the people, the powers that shouldn't be, who created this whole terminology called black. And we are getting our instructions on how we're to conduct ourselves and how we're to see ourselves. And then the last one at the bottom, and it says here, as long as they view themselves as a skin color, we'll keep our narrative on course. What you name, you control. So again, keep that in mind. So whatever name that you are embracing right now, I don't care what it is. I don't care if you call yourself black. I don't care if you call yourself black American. I don't care if you call yourself black Indian. I don't care if you call yourself black Hebrew. I don't care if you call yourself a black Christian. I don't care if you call yourself a Christian. I don't care if you call yourself an American. It doesn't matter. These are titles. And when you settle for that, that means you are subjected to the system that gave those titles to you. All right, move on. And so anyway, so move on. The post after that I did later on, I was showing you keeping track of this Carmelo Anthony situation and how this family seemed like their calculator only has an addition button to it, because they started off at 50,000. Then it went up to, I don't have 150 on here, but it went up to 150,000. Then it went up to 200,000. Then it went up to 300,000. The more money keep coming in, they kept raising it up, raising it up, raising it up. And then I looked last night before I went to bed, they raised it to 350,000. And you got people, unfortunately, they still don't get it. They just rolling along with this stuff. Like that ain't nothing to be red flaggish. And so anyway, and then what I pointed out in this post here, if you go here, someone pointed this out. I saw this last night. Clearly there's somebody, there's others, there are some, and I ain't trying to sound like tinfoil hatish or whatever, but my tinfoil hat's been kind of working pretty good lately. But someone took the time and actually went through some of the comments, you know, because when you go to GoFundMe or GiveSendGo, people can leave a comment. They make a donation and leave a comment. And what people were noticing was, if you look on the screen here, on the very top, let's look at the Henry James and Glauco Escobar Jr. Notice that it's the same exact wording. These are supposedly two different people. Why would you do that? But it's the same exact wording. And then you go down here on the bottom left. Let's look at that. Tamika Bates. Same exact wording. Very sad situation. I am praying for God to grant wisdom to all involved. And then anonymous giver, same thing. Very sad situation. I am praying for the God to grant wisdom to all involved. It's the same wordage. And then the other one, Renee Lawrence, definitely praying for the family. Absolutely, this young man. Like, that's not even written right. But you could tell it's the same person because the way it's written, because they made the same, it's grammatical kind of thing going on here. Definitely praying for this family. Absolutely, this young man. And then this other person, Ashley, it says definitely praying for this man. Absolutely, this young man. This has signs that this is some kind of bot or something that is adding these comments and making these contributions. Now, what we're learning with the whole Doge situation is that there are powers that shouldn't be that got a lot of money, and they funnel it to some of these things. And what this is doing, and you may ask, oh, what's the big deal? You know, why would that be an issue? Well, the issue is that it's fueling a narrative. It's fueling a certain narrative, and people will give money to that. That's basically what I was writing up here in this post. And I'm glad someone caught it. And then later on, when I went back, apparently whoever is doing this, they realize their little whatever app or whatever that they're using or software they're using is like, oh snap, people are starting to catch on. And so they immediately went and erased it. They erased the comments on some of them. But thankfully people but screenshots last forever, at least almost forever. And so anyway, I'm just, these are things, if you take the time and actually look, instead of just jumping into stuff, it will pop up at you. This is no effort, literally zero effort. But unfortunately, a lot of people will not do this. They won't. They won't even bother to look because they are led by their emotions. All right, so let's move on here. So the other day, or rather today, I wake up, someone left a comment, under that post I was just talking about here. And, I'm not going to go through all of it. You can read it yourself. But basically, I had one dear sister here was saying, she was saying that she had mentioned that it was two people that attacked this young black student. And I'm like, where is that coming from? That's the first time I heard of that. She said two. So I politely told her, I said, no, that's not an official report. That's not official. That's not real, because all you have to do, and I encouraged her, I said, make sure you are going to the main source. Make sure you're going, forget whatever you're seeing online, whatever people are saying, make sure you're going to either the victim's family and whatever they're putting on up there, the person that committed the crime, and yes, it was a crime, whatever they're saying directly, or to the police. That's it. You don't go to anybody else, because there's a lot of people putting all kinds of stuff out here that's not real. So I literally told her, I said, this individual, I said, go to the Frisco Police Department's website, and if you want to get exactly, what the current information is, go there. So that's what we did. And so let me pull it up here on the screen, and I will show you what they are saying. All right. Unfortunately, people don't even want to see this because it doesn't meet their narrative. It doesn't match their narratives. This is what the Frisco Police Department, because this took place in Frisco, Texas. Okay. Let's read what they posted. The Frisco Police Department is aware of an image circulating on social media purporting to be a report from the Collin County Medical Examiner's Office. At this time, the report has not been released. Let me say that again. At this time, the report has not been released. Therefore, any information currently found online is false. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. And then it goes on down here. Only official releases from verified accounts should be trusted. Do not contribute to the misinformation by spreading unconfirmed information. That's what they said. So there you go. There you go. So I know that for many of you, or some of you who are following this story, I got the police report, and someone created a police report, and they actually, when it says race, they put an N there, and someone circled it and said, see, this is all racism. See, they call them Negro, and that's not even the official report. And it's people from both sides spreading these reports that aren't even real. The police department saying we haven't even released it yet. See, and a lot of people, and this is what I keep telling people, you don't realize that the technology that's out here now, that's accessible to you. I can literally right now, if I had a letter from somebody, anybody, it could be anything. Maybe it's it could be a lease or something like that. I can scan it, upload it to XYZ website and say, listen, change the text on this and make it look like it's all the same text, keep the same font. And it could do it. And now you got people who are using this stuff for nefarious reasons and putting this stuff out here, and people are sharing this stuff by the tens of thousands. So again, if you're following this story, make sure you are going to those sources. That's it. Okay. You don't even have to listen to me, but go to them, because those people are in it. Anybody else, the Tariq Nasheeds of the world, or some of these other people that are just floating things out here, do not listen to them on matters like this. Don't listen to them. And so anyway, so what I want to do now is let's take a look. We're going to go to the Give, Send, Go comments, because I want you to take a look at this page here. Give, Send, Go. Where are you? All right. So let's pull this up here on the screen. There we go. So this is his page here. So Give, Send, Go. So as you can see, as I showed you, they raise it up to now it's 350,000. Now, some people may say, oh, well, they did it because, legal fees and all this other stuff. And that's what it is. And sometimes, Okay, if it was for legal fees, then that should have been the goal in the first place. No, y'all seeing that money coming in and you gonna keep raising it up. Anyway, so the comments here, and so what we did was I looked through the comments here, and let's see, I'll say give, send, go comments, and just looking at some of them. We're going to revisit this comment section a little bit later, but these are just some of the comments here. Hold on, I'm trying to get it where y'all can see it. And we'll just look through some of them and some of the comments that people are leaving. Prayers for you and the family. Your community across the country is supporting Carmelo and the Anthony family. I have a black son and I know how this world operates. A black man boy is always guilty before first above all the facts are heard and determined. You got this. Keep your head up, kid. Good luck. Praying for this young man to stay strong. Keep the faith. Self-preservation applies to all. Let's see what else. You got this. We got you, nephew. I wish I had more to give. Wishing you and your family the best. Load more. Let's see. I'm just showing you some of the comments that people are leaving here. Praying for you and the family. Wishing you luck and praying for you. Hold mama and daddy. I don't know. Okay. Praying that the justice will be served in Jesus' name. I am keeping you in my prayers. Stay strong. Isaiah 40:31. A lot of people left scriptures. I'm going to show you some in a moment. I'm praying for the family and I support you. We are our brother's keeper. May God keep Carmelo in perfect peace and meet his every need with love and comfort. There's some more. We can go through that all day because there's plenty of them there. Hold on for a second. Let me see. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so let me just say this here. And we're getting ready to, like I said again, buckle up here. Let me just say this here. Is that, there's this sense of when you're looking at these comments, it's like, oh, see, look, this is the black community coming up. The black community is coming together. This is what I'm talking about. You see how we just come together? We're coming together. That's what when we see stuff like this and we just flock like that, that's the first thing that comes to a lot of people's minds. But I am about to prove to you that there is no black community. And it's not going to be hard at all to prove that. There is no black community. It's only this cartoonish thing that we have been calling a community for years. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to simply we're going to walk down the hall and we're going to go to GoFundMe. All right. We're going to go to the GoFundMe page because that's where they initially started their whole campaign. Right. So let's go to GoFundMe and we're going to see and ask ourselves how this community really looks out for each other. Okay, so you're going to see this in 4K. All right, so let me go ahead and pull this up and let's take a look. Now, in this story that we're talking about right now, it features a black individual, black young man who was under another party's tent. That was not his tent. That was not his space. He decided to go under somebody else's space and then threaten anybody that would dare tell him that he doesn't have a right to sit there. So you got the white guy that basically came and told him, hey, get out. And then later on, he comes back again, says, listen, and tried to push him, force him or whatever. And then here comes the knife. But rewind here for a second. You're in somebody else's space. You understand what I'm saying? We know that if this was two black individuals, every one of you would have no problem in seeing it that way. But like on the thumbnail of this video, this general sentiment is because you got a black person and a white person, I am team black no matter what. No matter what, I'm always going to stick with team black. So let's look at, we call this a community. Let's look at how the community takes care of each other, shall we? Let's do it. So we're at GoFundMe right now. And what I did was I did a search for the words stray bullet. All right. I want to make sure you follow me. Someone is asking, they said, I heard the guy bullying the black guy, just asking to get the full story. Rewind and you'll get pretty much all of it. And I even told you where to go to get the full story. Because if you're hearing bits and pieces from non-official sources, because what the actual initial report or the press conference that was given by the police, you need to search for that on YouTube or wherever they posted it, and you need to listen from there. That is the only place you need to go for that. If you're going to all these other channels where people are telling you what they think happened and, and all this other stuff, then you're already on the wrong path. If you really want to know what happened, you want to go to the actual police and the press conference that they gave, because they're going through exactly what happened. And that's it. That's all that should matter. Not what your cousin says and not what your grandmama thinks and all of that, and her trying to relate it to what she went through in the 1950s or something. No, you want to go right to the source, and that's it. Okay, that's it. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying earlier. So I did a search for the word stray bullet on the GoFundMe page. And these are people, you're going to find people, different colors and all that stuff here, but we're going to focus on the black folks. That's who we're going to focus on. And as we know, generally speaking, in most cases, anytime we hear a story of a black individual being hit by a stray bullet, more often than not, the one that's doing the shooting is what? The Chinese? No. The New Zealanders? Yeah, maybe there's an influx of New Zealanders that are coming in to black communities and doing this. Maybe that's what it is. No, in most cases that we know about, historically, it's actually coming from the hands of other black individuals. Okay? So with that information, we're going to take a look at some of these other GoFundMes that you probably never heard of. All right, so let's go here. So this first one here, we're not going to look at all of them because there's a lot of them. And these are posted. These are recent postings. Okay, these are recent postings. This person name is Krishana. And Krishana is the first black woman to serve as the chief of staff for the lieutenant governor of North Carolina. And it goes on. And they say in December 31st, Krishana and her mother went to the St. Peter's Church and World Outreach Center in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for New Year's celebratory service. And they said the program was scheduled to start at 10 p.m. The program concluded shortly after midnight, and we, along with 100 plus people, departed the sanctuary into the church parking lot. Upon leaving the church, we could hear firecrackers and we saw sparks in the far off distance. There were 100 plus people moving through the parking area to their vehicle. As they proceeded towards our vehicle, walking beside us, two other women, Cristiano was shot in the left side of her neck. And so they go in and talk about what happened, and, she had to go in the hospital and the whole nine. So anyway, she has a 13. This was posted back in December, I guess. Yeah, December, January. They had a goal for $13,000. They're about a little over half that. Okay. So we're just going through some of these things here. Here's another one. Alex Hodges. He has a $10,000 goal. They says Alex Hodges, who was involved in a devastating accident that left him with a severe injury from a stray bullet that pierced his head while driving. Miraculously, he beat the odds and survived the accident after emergency surgery, but the road to recovery will be a slow recovery. He has a $10,000 goal. He's only raised $640. Let's keep on. Here's another one. Kenya during, and this woman's name is Kenya, I guess. Alabama native Kenya Watts was injured by a stray bullet in the privacy of her home as a result of senseless community gun violence. She is facing a lengthy road to recovery, and we're asking for your support. She has a goal of $25,000. She's got about half of that. Okay. Here's another one here. Michael Rose. Michael Rose, the oldest of six, who was sadly shot Saturday, March the 22nd in Danville, Illinois, due to senseless gun violence. He was hit multiple times by stray bullets. Due to the tragic situation, Michael has undergone multiple surgeries and has a long road ahead of him. He has a $5,000 goal. He's at $690. Let's go to another one. This is Ken Sr. Today I am reaching out with a heavy heart to ask for your support for a dear friend, Ken Collier Sr., who tragically lost his 17-year-old Ken Collier Jr. to gun violence the evening of January the 9th. They have a $500 goal. Fortunately, they're almost there. They're at $6,800. Okay, just a few more here. Here's another person here. This is my father, who was shot by a stray bullet in a shootout that had nothing to do with him. My father was very much a community-loved man and had family everywhere. And now it's time to let him rest, and my family and I need help. They have a goal of just $2,800. That's it. $2,800. Like literally, that's like, that could be done just like that. $2,800. These are black folks that for the most part, they were just living. That's it. Now, some of these people could be, they may be leaving out that there was some gang stuff going. We don't know. But like I said, I'm an innocent to a proven guilty person. So I don't want to assume anything. I'm just assuming that these people were just innocent bystanders, as everybody else should do that. $2,800. And they still ain't raised enough money for this man. Here's another one. Hello, friends and family. I'm writing to you today with an unusual request. I recently experienced a traumatic incident involving a stray bullet that resulted in a foot injury. And so this individual's got needs and they got to deal with that or whatever. They have a $3,000 goal. Look how much they raised. $550. Let's do two more, shall we? Let's just do two more. Let's see if we can find two more here. Well, here's one guy here. His name is Tony Hot Wheels. He's a survivor of gun violence. I got hit by a stray bullet leaving work, which left me paralyzed. And he's struggling. He can't even get 3 donations to get his thing started. He literally can't even get 3 donations. He's at 2 of 3 donations just to get it started. Let me just one more. Let me just see one more here. Because a lot of kids are, they're impacted by this. Hello, my name is Brittany. I'm a preschool teacher and a single mother of 3 amazing kids. Right now, we do not live in the best place. The crime has gotten so bad, people walking around shooting at kids And yesterday, someone was killed for murder in 6 months. Not a good environment at all for my kids. I try so hard to provide a better environment for them. They truly deserve it. Just financially, the rising cost of everything, I can't afford it. And then she goes on. Now, she gonna need money, of course, but some other things as well. She's trying to move away from Negroes. She's trying to move away. And so she came to GoFundMe and try to get money. She don't even have anybody contributing to that. So you see where I'm getting at with this, right? We can go on all day with this. We can literally go all day with this. So don't tell me that somehow that there is this thing called the black community, because this ain't it. The only reason why black folks have gotten together on that particular story is because you are for Team Black. That's it. You're doing exactly what you've been trained to do. Instead of character, instead of looking at the stuff. And isn't it interesting? Just weeks ago, we had no problem calling out the story regarding the 2 track runners and the black girl that whacked the other black girl on the back of the head. We had no problem calling that out. We had no problem calling that out. I mean, that was clear, right? And black folks rightfully stood up and said, nah, you need to go. The only reason why that became a story, because it was somewhat unusual, right? You don't really hear about that going on too often, but it made national news. And because it made national news, what happens? We felt like we got to come and make a statement on it. But then in this particular case here, now we're dealing with a murder. Now all of a sudden you got black folks finding all kinds of ways upside downside to say, oh, it was self-defense and we got to defend him. When any other case where this has happened between 2 black folks, it wouldn't even made the news. And you know it. You know good and doggone well, if this story involved 2 black folks, nobody will be talking about it. I just went through a list of people who have been shot, black folks who have been shot more often by other black folks, and now one of you have heard anything about it. They can't even get money that they need to get themselves together. But here in this situation, money coming from all over, all walks of life, people dumping, they're airdropping money. Oh, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty to God. And here's my $50. Nigga, he had the weapon. He had the weapon. What are you talking about? The weapons of our warfare. Oh, I just plead the blood of Jesus. Well, there was blood there. Yeah, there was blood there. I don't know. It wasn't Jesus's blood, though. I mean, you should read the comments. Last night I was going through the comments. I had no words. I had no words. I really had no words. So let me say something to you. It's going to rock you. But let me say this to you. What we call black intelligence, and I'm going to quantify what I'm saying to you. What we call black intelligence, go back to what I was talking about, where this word black came from, okay? Make sure you have context before you start reacting in emotion. What we call black intelligence is by far the stupidest thing on earth right now. It is by far the stupidest thing on earth right now. And I'm getting ready to prove it to you. Allow me to prove it to you. So what I did, just to give you an idea exactly what I'm talking about, I said, let me take the money. At the time I did this calculation, the amount of money that people got together to invest in this ass clown that decided to pull out a knife. He just went to that point. He just escalated to that. Like, you push me, I'm going to end your life. But that's what he did. Oh, you getting all your, okay, follow me. Before you get in your emotions. So what I did was, at that time, the amount of money that was raised by black folks and all other folks that got together, but mostly black folks, it was around $282,000. Okay, $282,000. Okay, now we're addressing this whole thing. Again, black intelligence. I'm showing you how stupid it is. $282,000. Do you guys remember the other day? I told you. I said, and I did a whole video. The whole video was about, and stop listening to these fear merchants that are out here, and you need to invest. Remember, I told you that. I told you that, didn't I? I even provided you with an entire list of tech stocks. I said, you need to invest. I said, if you got some coins, you got a little bit of this or that, you need to get them coins together and you need to get something in the stock market, because there's too many people. And I broke it down and explained to you where all this fear is coming from. I showed it to you. We called out the religious folks that are out here that are trying to scare people and trying to get black folks into this mindset that you got to run, oh, don't worry about that. Don't listen to him and all this stuff, because Jesus is coming back, and, just don't listen to them. Don't listen to him, because the Bible says he's going to come back and remember all of that. I addressed all of that. I gave you a list and I said, this is just a sample, but whatever you decide to do, I said, you need to put some money in the stock market. Remember I said that? Well, guess what happened today? Trump came out and said, oh, the tariffs. Well, a lot of those tariffs, I'm going to put a 90-day pause on those tariffs. That's what he said. On most of them. China, he ain't playing with. He ain't playing with China. I think now he's got it up to 124%. But I told you, I said, put some money in the market, because this is the time you need to buy the dip. And when you do this, I'm telling you, you watch. It wasn't even a few days after that, when Trump today announced that he was putting a 90-day pause, the market shot up. It's still going up. Now, I'm going to quantify what I'm talking about. So you have black intelligence on one hand, getting you to invest in someone who committed murder at a tune of $282,000. $282,000 was invested in someone who admitted committing a crime. I don't care what you think or feel about it. It was a crime, period. So you take that $282,000 and let's pick a stock. So the stock that I picked is Nvidia. Nvidia, just look them up. You need to put some money in them, because when it comes to AI and robotics, they're going to go up. And if you better get into it, basically. If we were to take that $282,000 and put it in that same day that all this stuff was happening, and we said, all right, we're going to raise up $282,000 and we're going to put it in Nvidia stock. We're going to buy some shares in Nvidia. Today, it went, at that time, Nvidia was at $97 a share. That was the lowest it went. Today, the last I checked, it's at 112. Let me see where it is now. Let me see where Nvidia is now. It might be higher, I'm not sure. It goes up and down throughout the day, like all the other stocks. Let me see where Nvidia is right now. It's at 114. But let's just work off of 112 right now. So at the time I did this, Nvidia was at 112 a share. So if we took $282,000 and we at that moment bought Nvidia at $97 a share, and now it's at 112, or at that time it was 112. You know how much money we would have made off of that? $43,607. $43,000, $43,607. That's what we would have made if this was a collective. So while people who have a very basic understanding of how the market works, those who gave you black culture were telling you to invest in someone who committed a crime. Now, guess who's the winner at the end of the day? You ain't. You see how this works? This is what I'm talking about. And you want to call that black intelligence? If that's black intelligence, guess what? I don't want to have anything at all to do with this. None of it. Because this is exactly why many black folks stay in a perpetual situation that they stay in, because of this kind of behavior, this kind of outlook on life. This guy that I follow, very good, Brooklyn St. Michael. I don't watch all his videos because I don't have the time, but he does very good work. He put together this video here. He's always like in this long series. It keeps going. One video is always connected to another, to another, to another. He puts a lot of thought in his videos, which I love. Right. So he's talking about this book from Du Bois called The Philadelphia Negro. I was shocked. I never even heard of it. I never even heard of the book. But he's actually going through this book. I would encourage you to read or even listen to this brother's video. You need to watch this video. It's like, I think he's like on the third part right now of this, but you need to watch this. Oh, let me back up. Uncle Reggie, let me back up. I'm just talking shares, like regular shares on stock, but I just said NVIDIA, right? I'm just using NVIDIA as an example because that's a safe one that anybody can do. We ain't even get into crypto. You imagine if someone were to take that $282,000 and put it in a crypto that was like 2 cents or something like that, and then it jumped up to 15 or 20 cents or something like that. Just imagine what would have happened. How much money that would have made. Again, lean on that black intelligence. Anyway, so in this video, he's talking about this book, The Philadelphia Negro. He's laying out, there's so many things. Philadelphia, if you want to learn black history, if you really have an interest for real black history, there are so many stories in Philadelphia relating to black history. A lot of people don't know. There's still things I'm learning. But anyway, Du Bois, he basically went through streets and communities and showed where all the black people were. And he was basically, I had to, because it's so much, it was so good. Basically, what he did was he was just observing. That's all he's doing. He was just observing how the black community was in that time and all of that stuff. We were talking late 1800s going into the early 1900s. And so anyway, what he was saying was Philadelphia already had a black community, like before, during, and after the Civil War, right? Because you had black folks who were, I did a documentary on that where I showed you exactly, I took you where the slaves that were being brought, they were being, literally, they had ports right under the Ben Franklin Bridge that they were dropping them off and all of that. I showed you all of that. And so anyway, so there was a black community there, but over time things have changed and were changing and all of that. And black folks were actually doing pretty good in cities like Philadelphia, especially Philadelphia. I mean, racism still existed. Let's keep that real. But black folks had an advantage. They were in the North, so there was a higher probability that they knew how to read, they knew how to write. They had the basic skills needed to get a job and to work and all of that, right? And so you had a number of black folks that were actually, for that time, they were actually doing pretty good. But after the Civil War, you had an influx of black folks that were coming from the South that migrated in Philadelphia, in places like Philadelphia, who didn't have these basic skill sets. And so Du Bois, he was pointing out how when they came up with that, they brought a whole criminal element with them. Now, this is according to him. It was a lot of different. It was not all of them were criminals. That's not what he was saying. But amongst them, it was a higher rate of criminal activity or criminal mindset. That's what he was pointing out. And so because and it only got exasperated because if you didn't have the basic skill set, that means you can't get jobs. And because of that, he was pointing out things like how he said, I just see young black men just hanging on the street corners and really don't have any initiative to do anything in life. He's writing this in the late 1800s. And if you drive through Philadelphia today, you will see the same thing. The same thing. And he was just outlining this, and he was talking about how because this element came in, it made it difficult for all other black folks who were there, who were already established, to move ahead, because now everybody looking at all black people, period, And then he broke down, the whole like racial makeup of the city at that time, because you had the Irish, you had the Polish, you had the Jews who basically, and they were around, but they also, it was a little bit half and half. They had slum areas in Philadelphia where Jews actually lived, but they also were running on banks too. But anyway, whites, working blacks. He literally drew out maps and showed you where all these different class of people lived. But he also was pointing out in these different sections of town and he was identifying all the different types of criminal activity they were bringing. And so I think, that's kind of what fueled the whole boule thing. You know what I mean? Because, you had a certain class of black folks that was like, listen, y'all messing it up for us, so we're going to create the boule. And of course, the boule, they took that all to a whole nother level, which was crazy. And everybody calls that out now because it's not needed, But my point is that this is a mindset. So when I'm talking, I'm not saying all black people fall in these categories. What I am saying is there's an element that unfortunately numbers of black folks are almost intimidated to not call out on their BS, especially when there's stories that involve a white person. We feel like a lot of black folks feel like they have to be on team black. I know about him. I followed him even when he was in the Hebrew stuff. Loretto. Yeah, I know about him. But anyway, he covers that. It's a great book, and I'm actually going to be doing something with that book too, because I was like, man, I gotta let me look through this whole book here. And so anyway, let's continue on this whole thing when we're talking about black intelligence, right? Especially when it comes to finance and money. We're just keeping very basic, because there's a lot of talk that black folks do, and we, one thing about black folks, we talk a whole lot, right? And we keep bringing this thing about, we got to recreate Black Wall Street. We're going to recreate Black Wall Street. Well, truth be told, Black Wall Street, quote unquote, has already been in existence. Even though that Black Wall Street in Oklahoma got burnt down, that didn't stop black folks from going into entrepreneurship. You have black businesses that have been up and running and doing their thing just like all other businesses, even after that. And it never stopped. So when you talk about a Black Wall Street, it's never stopped. It never stopped. That's just one particular area. But the truth is that you've had black entrepreneurs all over that were doing great things. But let's take a look at some of the challenges that black business owners have to deal with when they build in certain areas. Let's take a look. This was a video that I did back in, it was a year ago. I'm saying a year ago. I think it was a little more longer than that. But you had a rash of black owned businesses that were saying, listen, we're tired of the nonsense, that black folks are bringing into our businesses. These are black owners that are saying this. So you had a rash of black owned businesses that were saying, okay, we're going to have to start doing some dress codes. So this is me talking about this some time ago. And let's take a listen here to what I was talking about here. Okay, this is short. I'm just going to skip through it. A dress code disallowing guests from appearing in tank tops, flip-flops, slides, regardless of brand, clothes with explicit attire, sagging, some bodysuits, jerseys, attire that does not meet the K&K expectations. Women, no bonnets, no revealing attire, excessive cleavage, short shirts, shorts, etc. No slides, rubber sole, athletic, regardless of brand, Birkenstocks, Crocs. Men, no ball caps, do-rags, stocking caps, no hoodies, no beanies, no slides, no basketball shorts. So he's going through this whole thing here. I'm going through this whole thing here. This is a black-owned restaurant called Kitchen Cocktails. It was like a high-class kind of nice environment and all this stuff that they were going after. And they had to instill a dress code because people were coming in dressed all kind of ways. And they had to put this in place. Now, this is another story that I did. This was the turkey leg, which that's a whole ball of drama. That the turkey leg, I don't even think is in existence now. But back when they had their head on right, they too were really trying to create a nice open family environment, right? And they tried, and so of course it didn't work, and so they ended up having to do like this other restaurant. They had to do a dress code. Well, you had numbers of black folks who actually pushed back against it. Now take a look at this. Look at one of the ways that one black person chose to push back against a simple dress code.
Key leg hut.
Yeah.
Coming in hot over here.
You ready? Yeah.
Oh, damn. Oh, damn.
Confident. Damn.
So she didn't like the dress code, so she decided to strip down butt naked and walk in this black-owned restaurant. These aren't white people doing this. This is your Black Wall Street.
Local restaurant owners are noticing more people skipping out on their bills lately.
Tia Ewing has the latest on the uptick.
Now you see them and now you don't. We've blurred the video because the trio hasn't been charged yet, but you can't miss that distinctive blue wig and the massive tab they left behind.
The server went to the table. They asked for the ticket to be split. She left from this table behind me to a few steps away, clicked the button. As she left, they got up one at a time and walked out.
3 days ago, the three women from Rochester, New York visited Soul Vibes in the Near North neighborhood to celebrate a birthday and left behind a surprise, an unpaid tab of over $200.
They actually ran out the door and ran and hid behind a service vehicle that was in traffic.
They decided to dine and dash after devouring chicken wings, Alfredo, and washing it all down with flights of drinks.
It's not violent, but it's a crime, and it affects us, and it affects our bottom dollar, and it affects our team members.
They were spotted on surveillance, leaving one by one within 30 seconds of the server stepping away. They also forgot that they signed up on the wait list before being seated, including their name and phone number. And to add insult to injury, they posted this onto social media, thanking the restaurant for the free food while laughing at waitstaff like Chloe Jackson.
I'm here 3 days a week.
Their greedy crime comes with a much heavier cost.
Some places do make the servers come out and pay for those bills, but Fab and Soul Vibes here, they don't make us pay for it. Well, that's really grateful because $300, $400 could really break our bank for that day.
Sadly, dine and dash incidents are on the rise. The owners run 2 Soul Vibes locations and 3 I Can't Believe It's Not Meat restaurants. And in the last 6 months, they've seen an uptick in these type of incidents. These are just a few of the incidents they've recorded.
It's an industry of pennies and nickels. So when you get these dine and dash incidences, you know what I mean? You know, the consumer or the people that are doing this dine and dash might think, oh, it's just $100. Yeah, but it's hurting the bottom line.
Now, a police report was made. Chicago police are now investigating. If charged, the suspects could face a Class A misdemeanor for theft of services under the amount of $500. That's
There you go. So here's one. Here's another one here.
Surveillance video from inside the restaurant shows a table of 16 people eating and enjoying themselves. Frida's manager, Jesse Gonzalez, says they were one of the last tables seated around 10:30 Sunday night, a half hour before close.
and they came at the last minute, and we didn't think anything of it.
He says they treated themselves, ordering some of the most expensive things on the menu, including $11 margaritas.
Burritos, the Hefty Grinder burritos, the Frida special steaks, steak and shrimp.
But soon he says the bartender got a whiff of something that didn't smell like grilled steak and peppers.
It was just one guy that was just smoking weed, and we asked him to stop, and I guess he was like the leader of the group, and they just went out and listened to him and made a scene.
There's no sound in the surveillance video, but at this point, Gonzalez says the group started berating the staff.
They started getting louder and louder, getting upset, started yelling. That's when they started making offenses to the server and telling them, like, come on, come on.
Eventually, one by one, people finish their drinks and leave the table, except for these two women left behind. They didn't seem to be in as much of a hurry. She even carries her blue margarita away from the table and continues to drink it after the group ignores staff and skips out on their $420 bill. Gonzalez says they even pushed one of the servers in the stairwell. He says he's never seen anything like it.
Wow.
Our walkouts are, hey, they forgot to pay, or they'll come back the next day. Major walkouts like that, that's our first biggest one.
Gonzalez says he thinks they planned the whole outburst, so they could skip out on the bill.
You don't think that they're going to do that, especially on a Sunday night. And yeah, just one guy got them all riled up, and they all left at the same time.
All right, one more for you.
Friday night for fiery crab waitress Hannah Francis took a shocking turn. A group of 5 dined and dashed, leaving behind a $400 bill.
I just always thought that because I do good to people, that good would be returned to me. I never thought that would happen to me.
You can see the group grabbing their seafood bags and running out. But before taking off, one of the individuals forgot their phone and ran back inside to retrieve it.
That's kind of when I got upset, because I was like, no way, he walked right behind me and he left his phone.
Francis says she decided to take matters into her own hands, posting the footage on TikTok.
As a server, we go through so much, and I feel like people don't really understand that.
But to her surprise, she was not expecting the video to gain over 1 million views before she deleted it. She says she hoped the Dashers saw the video and felt accountable for their actions.
Now, this one is in Baton Rouge. The other one was in New York, and I think one was in New York. The other was in Chicago that I showed you. Those where all this took place. Oh, we can. I mean, I could definitely show you many more, but I don't know if people could take it. So this is Black Wall Street. This is black intelligence. This is black intelligence that I'm pointing out to you. Here you have black entrepreneurs who are basically being terrorized by people who look like them. And so what ends up happening is, when I was living in the Philadelphia area, you have black-owned restaurants that have a beautiful dining area, but they have to shut the dining area down and convert themselves to takeout because to avoid all of that. So if you want your food, you're going to have to pay up front. That way there is no dashing. So they got all this space here that they can use for a beautiful dining event. But instead of doing that, they have to convert it over on a daily basis. They have to convert it to, something like a basically you pay up front and then we get your money. And then you'll get your food. And then maybe for special events, you want to rent it out for like a special event or something, like we'll do that. But even with that, we're getting our money up front. But here's the thing. But this is exactly what I'm talking about here. That this is the part that people don't want to. We don't want to address this stuff. And so, so instead, this is how people want to address the situation that we're talking about here. Let me go to my where did I put it? Desktop. These were the comments that people were leaving at the Go Send Fund or whatever website for Carmelo Anthony. I went. Oh, not this one. Not that one. It was start. Oh, here we go. Here you go, right here. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. All things, okay. All right, you can do all things through Christ. And here's another one here. Look at the hills from whence come our help. Which come our help. Remember that God is a way maker, a miracle worker, a promise keeper, and a light in the darkness. He has already written your story and signed it with victory. We love you and we are with you. Yep, that's how you judge things. Here's another one. God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. Praying for this family, keep your head up, and I promise the light that shines through you will touch so many. This is a movement. This is a movement. This right here is a movement. A whole murderer, you're going to create a movement behind someone that committed murder. This is a movement. Okay. All right. Let's move on. All right, we already did that one. Let's look at this next one here. For in the time of trouble, he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. What the whole hell? Here's another one. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and the noisome whatever pestilence. He shall cover thee with the feathers, his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. I guess we can leave out Black Knives on that one. And then here's another one. No weapon formed against him shall prosper. Godly day. No weapon formed against him shall prosper. But apparently the weapon he had in his bag, I guess it don't apply there. I don't know. But see, listen. How do we do this? And I'm glad someone asked that. How do we basically separate from these people? I don't want to be grouped in when. Yeah, you don't have to be grouped in. It's simple. It starts with a change of mindset. It starts with a change of mindset. When you see things like this, you have to be, when things come like these stories and stuff come across here, don't be like these other people and just jump in it and saying, we got to defend our little brother. I can't tell you how many older women I saw contributing to this thing. And I would kind of argue that a lot of this is actually middle-aged women that are pushing this whole thing. Because look, based on the comments and what I'm seeing, that's who I'm seeing that's really pushing this thing. I mean, they calling him little nephew. He's like, come on, addressing him as a baby. He's just a baby boy. I've seen all this stuff. I'm not making any of this stuff up. So as long as you are not engaged in that, then no, you've already separated yourself from that. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't have to embrace any of this stuff. So, it's not so much of you got to move somewhere to a different country or to a different planet. It's just, it starts with here. It starts with here, right? Making a change in this and how you use this to process things. And how, when things come your way, you don't jump in your emotions. You start thinking, you start processing. You know what I mean? You start asking the difficult questions that a lot of these people don't want to ask. You understand what I'm saying? You have to begin to identify yourself something that is not black. And that's a hard thing for most people who look like me, because want to do, because you know why? Because for people who don't get what I'm saying, they are assuming that because they're just binary in their thinking, they're assuming that I'm saying that, okay, you need to start acting white. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's far, far from it. Again, and it also proves that that's all you see the world as is black or white. But what I am saying to you is begin to start seeing yourself as more than that. Deep, 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 deep inside of you is the real you. And it goes beyond a color. It goes beyond that. Now, the people that we will deal with and interact with on a daily basis, they're still operating at that level of color. So you're going to have people from time to time in life that's always going to identify you based on what they see. But it comes down to, what do you know about you? That's where it begins. That's where this all begins. And you have to start beginning to operate like that. Operate on what you are discovering about you. You understand what I'm saying? When we study, so study history, study your culture and all of that stuff, because all of those things are very important. They're important to your origin story. If we're going to talk in comics, right? It's important. Your culture is important to your origin story on why you're here and how you got here. But you go beyond that. Who you really are is beyond that. I can get into some stuff that's going to be, really take people's mind out there. But my point is that don't just see yourself as what you seen in the mirror. You're more than that. It's the system that wants to categorize you into this stinking way of thinking and having you cheering for criminals and thugs and prostitute looking acting people and all this, the worst of society, and say, yes, embrace it because that's your culture. But that is not who you are. You got to learn to put that aside and say, no, that's not me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not defending them, and begin to teach yourself, and it takes time. When I see a black person or someone out here that's doing something that's stupid and crazy or whatever, I do not identify with that. I would never say, I used to say, but I don't say it anymore. See, you making it bad for all of us. No, he's not. Or no, she's not. You are on your own. Let's say, for example, if I went into a store and let's say I'm just mind my business shopping, and let's say a group of black folks came in there and they were just, just doing whatever, right? I mean, I would just be like, dang, or whatever. But at the same time, I'm going to keep right on shopping and be like, how much is this? Oh, okay. Nicole, you need anything from the store? Okay, all right. I'm going to be right on doing my thing. You think I'm going to be hemmed up in the corner somewhere like, y'all making it bad for all of us. Can y'all please hush it? The cops come in and they want to handle business with them. Guess what I'm going to be? Oh, y'all, let me go on this side. You will not catch me getting in the middle. Oh, Mr. Police Officer, you going too hard. Nope, you did that. You did that. So that's not me. Do you understand what I'm saying? No. I'm not. No, sir. I'm not. You ain't scooping me up in that. And this is how you have to see it. It's not, well, you're in full denial. No, I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm denying that because I ain't got nothing to do with that. And so I operate like that when I go through my life. When I see people that look like me doing things, I don't automatically, there's a part of you that's like, hey, we're together, like a lot of y'all black, right? So we do have a common thread that we hold on to and all that stuff. But here's the thing. If I do something crazy, that has no reflection on you. That's me. I made that choice. I made that decision. And it goes both ways. If you do something stupid and crazy, guess what? I'm gonna be like, sad to hear it. Sorry to hear it. Whatever. I hope you get it together. But no, there's no allegiance like that, and it shouldn't be. Not like that, because we're past that time. See, there was a time in history where that could have worked. You understand what I'm saying? Where black folks got together and there was a focus and all that. But what's the thing that changed? It was the family structure. The family basically structure has been obliterated for the most part. So a lot of that balanced thinking, you can't think that way anymore because it's too spread out. So now you have to look, you have to gather with those that are like-minded. And in some cases, those people are going to look like you. In other cases, they're not. But it doesn't matter. You got to be about you, and those that are like-minded, you go with that at the end of the day, period. While still, holding on. Like I said, your culture is very important, and you need to hold on to it because that is part of your origin story. But it's not your whole story. And so that's what I want to talk about in this broadcast again, is when you're looking at this. So this whole thing with people blowing up and acting a fool and crazy and all this other stuff, not willing to slow down and actually look at the facts and all of that. Don't get caught up in that. You'll be doing yourself a world of a favor by simply slowing down, looking at the truth, the facts, and all these matters, and then just keep doing what you're doing, separating yourself from the fools. And unfortunately, there's a lot of them out there. There are. You understand? But we're gonna keep our mind on straight here, and we're still ascending. We're gonna keep right on moving up. Okay. That's what we're going to do on this platform. Well, anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining us for this broadcast. If you missed anything, maybe you came in halfway through, make sure you go back, watch it from the beginning, because I did cover quite a bit in this broadcast. Okay. And that's it. You guys take care. And I really appreciate each and every one of y'all, your feedbacks and stuff like that you put in the comment section and all of that. And thank you, for that. And thank you for taking your time. Come in here, take care, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.